Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and welcome back to XXX State of the Union. And I remember the first time I saw this, I was pissed off because they killed off Xander Cage. I went, what? Because they referenced one line of dialogue, and then when this film came out, they took this film and then they released another DVD that was a director's cut or so forth, and it had a little featurette. This isn't it, but there's a featurette called The Death of Xander Cage, and it was a guy who was pretty much a double for Vin Diesel. Entering somewhere, the place blows up, then there's this gory piece of skin, the back of the skin that has the three X's, and it's supposed to that's how Xander Cage died. I went, what the fuck is this? Do these guys really have a bug up their ass about Vin Diesel? Did he shit in their cereal? Did he piss in their cornflakes? Did he take a dip of his dick in their mama's snatch? Like, Jesus. But I know originally this was supposed to have Vin Diesel in it. Rob Cohen was supposed to come back to direct it because he did the first one. But things didn't work out, and Vin Diesel didn't like the script, and they got Ice Cube. Directed by Lee Tamahori. As it says, it's from the director of Die Another Day. That is not something you should be advertising. In fact, you should be hiding it. They'd be like if M. Night Shyamalan came out with a movie and it said from the director of The Last Airbender. In fact, you know what, Stretch? I'm sure there's a fucking movie somewhere that did do that. The best action film of the year, Paul Fisher of Dark Horizons. The best action film of the year of 2005? I don't remember much of 2005, but I think I could find more better action films than this. I remember a friend of mine named Afri. He talked about, I don't know if it was people who saw the trailer to this, and they booed the shit out of it because they knew it was the guy who directed Die Another Day. And like, fuck that guy, fucked up James Bond. I'm like, yeah, Die Another Day, one of the worst fucking James Bond films in history. I ranted on that piece of shit when I reviewed all of the James Bond films. I have a playlist on my channel where I reviewed every single James Bond film because a guy was unbelievably generous and sent me a shitload of James Bond films. I didn't deserve it, but I took it. But I reviewed all of them thanks to him. And Die Another Day was one of the worst. And actually, I'm curious, what action films came out in 2005? With stuff like King Kong, Fantastic Four. The Island. I think The Island with Michael Bay is better than this. I reviewed that film. Mr. and Mrs. Smith I like. I think it's better than this. I would put Doom over this. People would be pissed. Now, The Pacifiers. The Transporter 2? I think that's one of the best action films of 2005. Unleashed with Jet Li. Fuck, I'd rather watch Stealth. I mean, Unbach. I forgot Unbach came out 2005. That's a good one. Anyway, that's not what this is about. So the director of Die Another Day is what you get. And you get Ice Cube. Now, I don't hate Ice Cube. And I know a lot of people hate him in the film, saying that he's a bit too chubby and they don't buy him as an action star. And I can see what they mean because the fisticuffs are nothing special. And he's not built like typical action guy. And he's supposed to be doing all this crazy stuff. And you're like, am I going to buy Ice Cube? Is that? I guess because I don't mind Ice Cube as a personality. I mean, I liked him in Anaconda. I don't mind. I liked him in Ghost of Mars. Granted, when I heard Jason Statham was going to star in it instead of being the small supporting role that he was in Ghost of Mars, I'm like, let Jason Statham star in it instead of Ice Cube. But the way it is, I still like Ice Cube in that. I liked him in Friday and Next Friday. I didn't like the third Friday, but I liked the first two. Ride Along sucked, but it's not just because of Ice Cube. But I mean, I don't think Ice Cube's like the worst. It's just, I don't know if anyone could have saved it. What it is, if you don't have Ice Cube, you should set some limitations. Ice-T, for example, in Surviving the Game. I enjoy that movie. But Ice-T had limitations. You know, I gotta quit smoking. And, you should always check the barrel. He wasn't a Superman. But they're making Ice-T to be like Superman, and he doesn't have that gusto for that role. Especially when you're following Vin Diesel, who does have that. I mean, Predator 2. A lot of people pick on Danny Glover, but he was beaten up, torn up, doing the best that he can. He was a regular human being. He wasn't jumping and handing off helicopters, almost at a point of one hand, as if he's Arnold from True Lies, or doing all this crazy shit. But at the same time, I'm not going to put all this on Ice Cube. A lot of people do. I'm like, it's more the director sucks. Because he fucking did Die Another Day. It should not even been called XXX. I mean, the reason it's called XXX is because of not only Vin Diesel's the back of his neck, but X as an extreme sports. That was the whole fucking gimmick. Even fucking Halloween 3 took place on Halloween. Didn't have Michael Myers. Well, technically it did on a TV that someone was watching, but this, yeah, Sam Jackson from the first one is in it, and the other guy who supplied the weapons, but it didn't even follow the gimmick of, like, why even call this XXX State of the Union? This could have been just a separate action movie called State of the Union. It would not have saved the film, but I'm just saying, why is this even a XXX sequel? What's XXX about it, other than the title? I mean, the opening of the film is a bit interesting, where it's almost this farm with horses and shit. These guys with guns come in, they put this thing on the ground, and this explosion happens as if it drills right into the earth, and there's a secret facility below. This badly done CGI little drone that flies around, and Sam Jackson shoots it, or hits it with his gun and shoots some people. Him and the other guy escape, and then they go, we gotta get a new XXX, more dangerous, deadlier. And I'm like, once again, if you're saying that Ice Cube is more dangerous and deadlier than Xander Cage in the first film, not many people bought it, including me. Not many people bought that. And it's like, I like Ice Cube, but not in that way. I mean, like, I don't think I'm not sure if Ice Cube's not really the fit for an over-the-top action. Maybe a little lower down action, but not an over-the-top cartoon action. I don't think Ice Cube's the right fit for that. Like, Vin Diesel seems more of a fit for that world. Even that's toned down compared to this, which is skyrocket. Especially when you get to the ending. And Ice Cube's in prison. He used to know Sam Jackson. They have a history together. And again, this just feels like a different movie that should not be for a XXX movie. And one random guy says Xander Cage was killed last night. I'm like, what? Obviously by the third one, that's not the case. So Ice Cube is beating up some guards. And I see some wide shots. I'm like, wait. In some of those wide shots, is that not Ice Cube doing the fights? It's like he's doing some of the fights, but they're not intricate because I know it says here he trained, and but it doesn't seem like he trained that much. I mean, if he trained, it's nothing impressive. His training didn't really impress me much. If this is the result, these little fisticuffs aren't much to run home about. And goes outside, jumps, gets on a helicopter with some help from CGI land, and flies away. Talks with Sam Jackson, the other guy, and he talks about, I'm out of prison, and there's something that anyone who comes out of prison want to do. And he's eating a sandwich, and he tells the sandwich, who's your daddy? I have never met a single guy who looks at their sandwich and goes, who's your daddy? I'm sorry, Cube, that whoever the fuck, I don't know if that was improv or someone wrote that line. If someone wrote that, Simon Kinberg, if you wrote that, I don't want to be around you when you're eating then, because I'm like, if you're eating a sandwich, you might pop a boner and put the buns together and make your own fucking special sauce. I don't know. Who's your daddy to a sandwich? Then they go to see Exhibit while he's in the middle of his show Pimp My Ride. That's what it fucking looks like. Um, Ice Cube has some dialogue with Sam Jackson about wars come and go, but my soldiers stay eternal. And Sam is like, is that Jefferson? Oh no, that's Tupac. They try to get this drive from that secret facility that we saw at the beginning of the film. Um, Ice Cube blows up a car, sneaks in, has some really weak 10-second fights where he beats up some guys, gets this drive. Then Ice Cube is on this boat. He's got to help the other guy who supplies the weapons. And that scene you see in the trailer where he drives the boat up, lands in a car, walks in slow-mo, explosion behind him, try to be the cool guy, walking in slow motion. And but I don't know, a boat going up and landing is not as impressive as the first film when you had a fucking motorcycle going on that shack and blowing up right behind and almost the flames engulfing the person. Part of me wonders if the reason, I mean, that was practical with the boat thing, but some of the more CGI stuff, I wonder if they do that because I believe in the first film a stuntman died in the parasailing scene at the end of the first XXX. So I wonder if they're like, well, let's use a bit more CGI just in case, so that doesn't happen again. Maybe, I don't know. Sam Jackson gets grabbed. Willem Dafoe, I didn't even mention him because I like him as an actor, but he's wasted. What is it with him and in shitty action sequels? He's in Speed 2 and XXX 2. Man. Again, Willem Dafoe I like as an actor, but he's not given much to do. He doesn't have much to work with. He's doing the best that he can, but there's not much he can do. He can't save it. And then they knock him out. They blow up his place to make it seem like he's dead. But then in the third act, you realize he's alive, and some of Ice Cube and Sam Jackson's old cohorts are alive because they're going to be used as patsies. I'm like, okay. And Ice Cube does this stuff where he's sneaking around and snooping. He visits this woman and pretends he's a reverend. He goes to this party pretending to be a waiter. Goes back with the girl to her place. He wakes up. He's set up. There's a gun there. There's a dead guy. And then I also forgot fucking Scott Speedman from the Underworld. Was he only in the first two? Yeah, Scott Speedman who, I'm sorry, he's not that good of an actor. I did not like him in Underworld. I don't like him in this. He's very lame. He's a weak version of Paul Walker. He's, I don't know. Scott Speedman doesn't do anything for me. I thought he was a weak actor in this. He's a guy who works for the NSA, but he becomes an ally of Ice Cube's. And he goes in, hey, what's going on? And Ice Cube explains his case. Scott Speedman walks out. The cops go in, and the Ice Cube tricked their ass because, which I guess he heated all this food and put them in a bathtub so that with their infrared they thought that was the body. I'm like, I don't know, something about that. I don't know, something about that bugged me. I can't really put into words though. I don't know what it is, but anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not like it doesn't matter. Oh, I forgot the dialogue that he said there with Scott Speedman. He says, "I was born looking guilty." I went, really? I was born looking guilty. I did because you're black, right? And then one thing leads to another, and he sneaks onto a battleship. Yes, a battleship. Finds Sam Jackson alive. Bad guys are after him. He steals a fucking tank. And I don't know how tanks work. Because this tank seems awfully fast. But maybe there are fast tanks. I've never been near a tank. I've never driven a tank. So I don't know. It's kind of cool that you're using these tanks. And he's like avoiding all these missiles with this tank. And I'm like, man, this tank is more maneuverable than a fucking motorcycle at this point. And he's avoiding all these missiles and even gets to a point where it's on the battleship. You know how a plane has this rig that I think when they land, it kind of stops them, or like the sort of ramp thing on. I'm not sure the term for it. Well, he puts the tank on there, and the fucking tank flies off in the CGI land to smash to another tank. Again, this is the shit that people were complaining about in Die Another Day, this cartoony shit. And it's like, yeah, Triple H was here, the first one, and then you just gone into a cartoon. And speaking of which, this is the whole reason this is going on is Willem Dafoe wants to move in on the U.S. Capitol. And he's going to use Sam and company to take the fall, and he's going to take out the president and enough people so he can become president. There's this one scene where they stop these two guys driving a cheese truck. Yes, a cheese truck. And because in the cheese truck, there's a hidden cache of weapons. And they go to the exhibit, because exhibit, who jacks cars, and on the side does Pimp My Ride, they get him, and they very, 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 very easily get to the Capitol, the U.S. Capitol. This comes for a guy that loves Invasion USA. That is more of a documentary than this fucking movie. At least that movie has Chuck Norris. It's time to die. You buy Chuck Norris. Who knows? If Chuck Norris was in this movie, then maybe I'd buy everything that's going on. Van Damme, Chuck Norris, maybe Stallone. If they were in this movie, maybe I would buy 100% and say fuck it. I don't know. But they very easily get by the military. They go through this one little barricade. They kind of swerve around. I don't know what the hell you call it. They swerve around, drive a little bit. There's this one tank that blows up the car, and they literally jack the tank. They put a hydraulic that rises it up, and they use a buzz, like a saw, to open it up, and they steal a tank. And like they use this one tank to go all the way up to the Capitol. There's no helicopters. There's no other tanks. There's no other military. Apparently DC is a fucking ghost town all of a sudden. All of a sudden a fucking ghost town. I'm like, wait a minute, this is way too fucking easy. And they shoot a tank missile into the Capitol, And there's like no one else around. There's no other soldiers. There's no cops. Are they, at the donut shop? Are they, where the fuck are they? Like, where are they? Are they sleeping? Are they having an orgy party? Are they in another building jerking each other off? Where the fuck? Why is DC all of a sudden now a ghost town? Again, no helicopters, no F-16s, no National Guard, no ROTC, no Monster Squad. There's fucking no one around. And even I'm like, I love action movies, and I know a lot of them are dumb, but even this, even if you have one brain cell, it's like, even the one brain cell would go commit suicide on it. I mean, come on. Here's the thing. Yeah, it's silly, but at least put some more opposition for our heroes. Not have them get there so fucking easily. Have some obstacles they gotta overcome in order to get to the fucking capital. But no. And then it's Scott Speedman and Ice Cube, the two of them, go all the way into the capital. You want to see this stuff done better, watch Olympus Has Fallen, watch White House Down. You could call them silly and dumb as well, but they're more entertaining than this. And they're better done than this. It's just like, this is all too easy. You get in there, and then they shoot a couple bad guys, and Sam Jackson kills this girl that's ready to kill this woman that was ready to kill Ice Cube. And then all of a sudden, Willem Dafoe takes the president, and they're on a bullet train. I'm like, wait a minute, this is all too easy. This is all way too fucking easy. Almost to the point of anticlimactic. And then this horrible ending where this big CGI bullet train, and then Ice Cube is driving, and at times driving in CGI, and then he's got to get up to the CGI bullet train and get on it. And then he and this other guy have this fight in the kitchen on the train. I'm like, I want to be watching Under Siege 2 Dark Territory. I like Under Siege 2. If I want to watch a fight in a train kitchen, granted it's one-sided in Under Siege 2 because it's Steven Seagal, but it's better than this. Better than this. Even the crazy shit at the end with the train and Steven Seagal outrunning it. And then, watching this, I'm like, that doesn't look half as bad as the shit in this. Man, and they get the president out because Sam Jackson's driving a CGI helicopter and Scott Speedman's on a rope and grabs the president. They fly off into CGI land, and then F-16s blow up the CGI bullet train. Then Ice Cube jumps into the water and shoots into the water and dies in the CGI land and more. And I'm like, God damn, this is more cartoon than fucking Looney Tunes. And then pretty much he drives off into the sunset, and Scott Speedman, Sam Jackson, another guy are talking about a new XXX. I mean, Ice Cube isn't the best fit, but I know a lot of time, I think there's a way that Ice Cube could work in the movie, but I blame it on the piss poor writing, the really piss poor direction. Action scenes, there's a couple okay ones. The tank stuff was silly, but it had a little bit of fun with it because there's not too many movies with tanks in them doing shit. I mean, it moved at a decent enough pace. Holy shit, this is edited by Mark Goldblatt. He was one of the editors on this. The same guy who directed Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher. He helped edit this movie. Yeah, he did the best that he could. I blame it honestly more on the director of Die Another Day. It's just you have a couple of decent explosions, like the beginning bit, a little bit with the train with not I want to not train the tank, but when there's fisticuffs, nothing to run home about. When there's gunfire, shootouts, really nothing to run home about, and for the most part, the action you compare it to the first one, they're rather lame. The bullet train with CGI cartoonish shit is a super lame ending. And then them getting to the Capitol is way, way too fucking easy with barely any effort. Little fisticuffs were nothing. Other than the outrageous tank stuff and that little bit of the opening with the devices that go into the earth. I mean, even the escape in prison was silly because Ice Cube jumping the CGI land to grab onto the helicopter was ridiculous. And I think about the first one. And yeah, there's some CGI work like the avalanche and Vin Diesel snowboarding, but I like the idea behind the scene. And some of those effects look better than the ones in this. And then you have real good practical stuff. The parasailing at the end, which unfortunately a stuntman lost his life. I wish that didn't happen. But it was some good stunt work. That scene in Colombia in the first movie. I mean, and I felt more of the attitude in the first movie. I didn't. They try to have attitude, but it felt forced. And this, again, this should not have even been a XXX movie. Could have just been called State of the Union and a completely different action movie. But even then, it would not have saved it. It still would have had really silly. And it tried to be more of a thriller and less of an action movie. I think that's another mistake it did. Because not now that I think about it, I remember watching the featurette on this, and someone actually mentioned that about how they want instead of an action movie, we want to make it more of a thriller. It did not work if that was your case. I mean, the action is silly shit, some bad CGI, a lot of bad CGI. Willem Dafoe is wasted. Scott Speedman sucks. Sam Jackson doesn't have really anything to do. Ice Cube, I almost feel bad for the guy because he gets most of the blame for this, but I don't mind Ice Cube, but you should not be asking him. You should not be asking the audience to believe Ice Cube in these outlandish, over-the-top action sequences. That just doesn't work for Ice Cube, in my opinion. Again, it's not that I hated Ice Cube. Yeah, a lot of people talk shit about his acting. That's fine, and I think it was more low-key action or more. I don't want to say realistic, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think the main problem was Ice Cube. I think it's a lot of the other stuff around Ice Cube. I mean, Ice Cube is a personality. Either you like him or don't. I don't mind him. It's just, you had a shitty script and a shitty director, some lackluster, lackadaisical action sequences, some really bad CGI. The plot, yeah, is goofy as fuck. Fucking Exhibit. Why is he in the movie? Jacking cars and doing Pimp My Ride promos. Because that's what it seems like half the time. Exhibit didn't need to be in the fucking movie. Lame ass third act. Either anticlimactic or shitty CGI bullet train bullshit. Music, I don't remember fucking thing about the music except some lame hip hop songs. That's when they were driving, there was a song called Fight the Power. Fight the power, duh, duh, fight the power. And I'm like, yeah, you're really on the nose, you Bury it deep in. Up your own ass, movie. Anyway, I don't want to talk about this movie anymore. Fox TV, jaw-dropping excitement. Best action movie of the year. Really. Really. If you're wondering why I have this DVD, actually, I bought this long ago when it was really cheap. Because I thought maybe one day I'd give it a look again. See if my opinion has changed. It really hasn't. It's not that good of a sequel. It really isn't. But thanks for watching. Take care and stay tuned for XXX 3, The Return of Xander Cage. Later.